Can you speak to the timetable between request for housing assistance from a residence in a special flood area to the time when FEMA actually made the determination that they could place trailers in the special flood area? Like, how much time are we talking about?
It was about 45 days.
Okay. What are the regulatory concerns surrounding FEMA taking 4 to 5 days? Not even so much the regulatory concerns. What are the procedural concerns around it taking FEMA 45 days to make such a declaration? Like, internally, is there an issue around process time, approval stage? Is it highly bureaucratic? Do you have to get authorization from the Director of Homeland Security? Is this an internal FEMA matter? Like, walk me through that. Why does it take 45 days? Because understand from my vantage point, I got residents who are out of a house. The first couple days, they're trying to figure out what's going on. Then they make a request, and then they're waiting 45 to 60 days, and I will add, Mr. McCool, sometimes longer than that. Mm-hmm. So walk me through the internal process of FEMA, and what would be your recommendations on how to repair that for the future?
Well, you know, because you've been in them, and I saw you in many of the shelters. From the shelters, we had transitional shelter assistance. Think of hotels in 3 states, and we had thousands of households in those transitional shelter assistance waiting for a temporary housing solution, whether it be a travel trailer, mobile home, direct lease, or a multifamily repair. We worked through, in 45 days, the regulatory and policy requirements. And I don't think we could have worked any faster. And the bottom line is we have to keep people safe. We don't want to put people at risk. And so we did a very deliberate flood risk analysis, both for the 3 islands and every county that was affected. And we had a direct housing mission for. And that took about 45 days. So I'm confident that the units that are placed are safely placed in a special flood hazard area, which we don't usually do. This is a unique situation.
Okay, but I'm gonna follow up to that follow-up. I'm confused because FEMA already draws basically the flood maps for the United States. So FEMA already has an understanding of what are your baseline flood zones, your high-risk flood zones, etc. So that data already exists. So let me ask it this way. What would you say, what would you recommend to Congress to essentially alleviate or to make it far more streamlined the regulatory burden you're under for making these disaster decisions? Because the number one thing we want to make sure occurs is that the Federal Emergency Management Agency can be depth and flexible enough to respond to emergencies in real time, not go through regulatory checks while people are struggling in real life. So what would you recommend to us in terms of what are the regulatory or statutory changes FEMA might need so that we don't have to go through, for lack of a better phrase, a bureaucratic workflow like this in the future?
The regulatory requirements that we have now, I think, are effective to keep people safe, and we put units safely in a floodway.
Yeah, but Mr. McCool, so let me paint this picture for you. It is now October 24th. You're a month displaced, 28 days. You're in a shelter. You're not quite sure what is going on. It is still hot here in Southwest Florida. How are you safe? Or better yet, let's say you're not in a shelter. What if you're somebody who's still living in their structure because they choose not to go to a shelter because they don't want to leave their property behind? How are they more safe living in their house that is damaged by storm while FEMA's going through a process to establish if whether a travel trailer can sit in their driveway on Fort Myers Beach, where if you just walk down the street of Fort Myers Beach, although there was a ton of debris all over the place, as long as you clear the pad, the trailer can sit there. Like, walk me. That's what I'm trying to understand. And as I ask that question, I'm saying that not from, with all due respect to my staff, not a list of questions my staff has. That's talking with people who are on the ground day 1, day 10, day 25, trying to figure out where is the housing mission with respect to FEMA. We're now in August. So, okay, the housing mission, to your words, are about to be finished, but the storm was 10 months ago.
Sir.
So that's what I'm trying to ascertain. I don't know if you can help me with that.
Every case is different. We talk to each survivor 22 times before they go into a household. Access and functional needs, family composition, the placement of the unit on your private site, or getting a commercial park, removing the debris, identifying a group site, all that takes time.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What are some examples of unintended consequences that FEMA has experienced based on specific United States Code provisions passed by Congress over the years? You've been doing this a long time. I'm quite sure internally you guys are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they passed this back in 92. This was stupid. Or I can't believe they did this post-Katrina. I got what they were trying to do, but it's not really helpful. What are you guys internally saying about some of the stuff that's in the United States Code that we can adjust?
I'd like to get back to you on the record with the specifics of that, Congressman.
On the record or off the record?
On the record.
Oh, okay, that's good. Mr. Chairman, I don't know if other members have questions. I got other questions, but I want to make sure I let the members have time if they want to.